Dune is a series of 6 books by Frank Herbert, beginning with the first book, Dune, published in 1965. Honkai Star Rail is a 2023 gacha game made by Hoyoverse as another addition to the Honkai multiverse. What do these two things have to do with each other? Well... Part 1. Elio's Master Plan. If you've read Dune or watched the 2021 movie, you know that one of the most important substances in the books is the spice, or melange. Taking melange can prolong your life and can grant certain people prescience, or the ability to see the future. Overdosing on spice can also give you access to the interlocking sausages of your ancestors' memories. A metaphor so good, Frank Herbert used it 3 times. Importantly, spice addiction also turns your eyes completely blue. Throughout the first 3 books, Paul, the first protagonist of the series, gets zooted on some spice and gains the ability to see the future. And also some other stuff happens. It's a pretty long series. Anyway, Paul's able to use his prescience to plan out what he's going to do to achieve the future he sees, especially in Dune Messiah, where he is physically blinded, but due to his prescience, he can see everything that's happening anyway, because it's all going according to Keikaku. The first comparison is fairly obvious. Elio, aka Destiny's slave, is prescient and sends the other Celeron hunters on missions according to his script. Hey, wouldn't it be funny if Elio had blue on blue eyes? Carrying on. You see, this ties into Elio's master plan. What do the Celeron hunters really want? Kafka says that Elio's end goal is to eventually defeat the destruction, presumably to save humanity. Elio's prescience has allowed him to foresee a way that this will happen, and it involves the Trailblazer. So, what are the ways to kill an Aeon? Kafka talks about 2 ways during the Xianzhou Luofu Trailblaze mission, but she never mentions a 3rd way, and since she's being cagey about it, that means that that's the way the Celeron hunters are planning to kill the destruction. Throughout the first few Dune books, Paul and later his son Leto, his second son Leto, not the first one who was also named Leto, talk about something called the Golden Path. Long story short, the Golden Path is the only way to save humanity from its destruction, and it's what Leto embarks upon when he becomes a worm, and also God Emperor of the entire universe. Basically, Leto's plan was to teach humanity not to be complacent, so they would be able to weather whatever threats came after them. In other words, Leto taught humanity to walk without rhythm, so they could cross the desert without being eaten by Shai Hulud. Leto, the tyrant, became God Emperor Worm in order to save humanity from being eaten by a worm. Therefore, I posit that Elio's master plan, Elio's golden path to humanity's salvation, is to save humanity from the destruction by having the Trailblazer fuse with the destruction and become the new Aeon of destruction, a god emperor of Star Rail. 2. Kafka. So, a major factor in the Dune books is the Bene Gesserit, an organization of reverend mothers who have used the spice agony to gain the memories of all of their female ancestors. The Bene Gesserit are political negotiators, behind-the-screen string pullers, and master manipulators. Their goal prior to the first book was to create the Kwisatz Haderach, a male Bene Gesserit who could access the memories of both male and female ancestors. That didn't go great for them. But anyway, their ultimate goal has always been to teach humanity, to help them reach maturity as a species, and in that way, their goals and the goals of Leto the God Emperor were the same, even if they didn't really get along. The Bene Gesserit also have an ability called Voice, which allows them to control other people by modulating their vocal tones. Kafka has an ability called Spirit Whisper, which allows her to manipulate others through her words, and she operates in manipulative, shady ways, but ultimately seems to have good intentions for humanity. Also, she's the Trailblazer's mommy. Furthermore, in Heretics of Dune and Chapter House Dune, the main antagonists of the story post-Worm Time are the Anid Matres, an organization of evil space dominatrixes that enslave men through sex to commit evil crimes and stuff. Yeah, the Dune books get exponentially hornier as they progress. Anyway, the leader of the Anid Matres, the Great Anid Matre, was nicknamed by O'Drade as the Spider Queen. And you know one of Kafka's main motifs? Fucking spiders. Yeah, she's a spider that jumps on spiders. She sort of gives off the vibe of an Anid Matre who came to see the Bene Gesserit side of the story and decided to become a quote-unquote good mommy-dummy instead of an evil one, like Marbella from Chapter House. My favorite part of Chapter House was when Marbella said it's Merbin time and merbed all over those Anid Matres, becoming Great Anid Matre and Mother Superior of the Bene Gesserit all at once. Also, Kafka's name is a reference to author Franz Kafka. For something to be Kafkaesque has to be noted as having a nightmarishly complex, bizarre, or illogical quality, especially in a bureaucratic context, which is what it feels like reading any of the sex scenes in Dune. Which would seem to describe the Bene Gesserit's machinations from an outside perspective, their own internal logic and hatred of bureaucracy notwithstanding. Paul, Miles Teg, various Tucket Idahos, and literally anyone who isn't Bene Gesserit interacting with the Bene Gesserit can attest. What's more Kafkaesque than turning into a giant bug instead of having to go to work, or being put in a bizarro trial for a crime no one will tell you about? Having a strange woman tell you she's going to fucking kill you if you don't put your hand in the pain box. Finally, so in Dune there are this species of humans genetically mixed with cats and they're called futas. They're cat boys basically, but were created to hunt Anid Matres, but they can't really do much with a handler, and the Great Anid Matre in Chapter House keeps one as a boy toy / full-time sub that also eats people. In Kafka's art, she's often featured with a cat, who might also represent Elio. Anyway, don't think about this one too hard. 3. Trailblazer. In Dune, there's a faction called the Bene Trailblazer who, among other things, are capable of creating golas. These golas are created from the cells of dead people and are basically clones, and through an extreme life-or-death experience, or, in some cases, boning, these golas can recover the memories of their previous lives. So, golas are sort of artificial humans. Well, it's revealed in later books that golas are actually born the old-fashioned way from Trailblazer women through severe scientific fuckery, but furthermore, the Trailblazer can implant secret conditioning into their golas. See, Duncan Idaho number 2, aka Hate from Dune Messiah, the best Dune sequel, and you can quote me on that, and the teenage Duncan Idaho from Heretics, both had secret Trailblazer conditioning that led to the moment they recovered their past memories. Well, we know that the Trailblazer is an artificial human created for the select purpose of housing a Stellaron, and that Kafka raised the Trailblazers before wiping their memory. Sounds a lot like how golas are made. Which comes back to part 1, Elio's master plan. See, in Dune, book 1, we like to believe Paul is the Kwisatz Haderach because he has his ancestors' past memories, but Leto II also has those memories, and later, in Children of Dune, Leto II calls Paul a little bitch, here I editorialize a bit, for not following through with the golden path. So now we have 2 Kwisatz Haderachs. The Bene Trailblazer also mentioned creating their own Kwisatz Haderach in Dune Messiah, but I guess that didn't go very well for them. Finally, in Heretics and Chapter House, Gola Idaho is awoken to every single one of his previous incarnations' memories, making him possibly also a Kwisatz Haderach, which scares the shit out of the Bene Gesserit. The same goes for the Miles Teg Gola. This is the part where I admit I've only read the main 6 Dune books by Frank Herbert, and another Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson Dune books. Anyway, my point is, it seems that one can create a Kwisatz Haderach through Gola fuckery by awakening a Gola to their past lives. Conclusion: the Stellaron hunters created the Trailblazers similarly to how the Bene Gesserit tried to use their breeding program to create a Kwisatz Haderach in order to get a special load of guy that could fulfill their plans for them. Part 4. Free Will, or the Astral Express. In Part 1, I suggested the game would end with the Trailblazer completing the Golden Path and becoming Worm. However, this is assuming Elio's plan comes to fruition. A major motif in Dune is one of free will versus destiny. After all, to be able to see your destiny is to become trapped by it, like someone named Destiny's slave. Paul spends the entirety of Dune Messiah trying to escape destiny, and later the son gives into his destiny and is sentenced to 3,000 years of boredom because he knows everything that is going to happen. Neither Elio nor Kafka seem to believe in free will, and they seem to think that their success is guaranteed, because Elio can see the future. However, Paul does manage to escape the Golden Path by becoming blinded and fucking up into the desert and then getting shanked later. And God Emperor of Dune ends with Leto II's death because of Siona, a rebel who believed Leto didn't have the right to control humanity's future, and who was someone whose own future Leto couldn't see. Indeed, part of Leto's plan was to use the Bene Gesserit's breeding methods to create someone who couldn't be seen by prescience. Later in the series, without Heretics and Chapter House, people frequently use no ships and no globes, both spaces that can't be seen by prescience. And at the end of Heretics of Dune, the titular planet of Dune/Arrakis/Rakis gets blown the fuck up. Planet's gone, only one teeny tiny sandworm remains. It's revealed that the destruction of the planet previously known as Arrakis was part of the Bene Gesserit Mother Superior Terraza's plan to really tell Worm Leto to go fuck himself and free humanity from his influence. One can argue over whether this breaking from the Golden Path is in actuality following the Golden Path because Leto II's intention was for humanity to break from his influence, but the point is that people seeing out free will even when confronted by destiny is a big part of these books. From the very beginning of Jessica having a son when she was older to have a daughter, to the end of Chapter House, where Duncan and associates flee the Bene Gesserit and the old couple Daniel and Marty deep into space, taking ownership of their own destiny and forging their own path. Blazing their own trail. Trailblazing their own path. In a spaceship. So, I'm going to contradict what I said earlier. I don't think the story is going to end with a worm time with Trailblazer. I think Elio has made a big old miscalculation. Because, the Trailblazer is a trailblazer, they're part of the Nameless. The Astral Express crew follows the path of the Trailblaze, which is to make their own way, their own destiny, outside of the lines. So it makes sense that the Trailblazer will be able to say, fuck you and your golden path, I'll find my own way out and save humanity that way. Like, during Kafka's companion mission, you can tell her to go fuck herself and not help her, and you get the achievement True Free Will. Shock on that, Elio. So, what will the Trailblazer's secret unforeseen option be? Maybe a big battle where they kill the destruction the old-fashioned way with a bunch of nukes? Yeah, I don't know. But I do think that the Trailblazers will be able to show the Stellaron hunters that they don't have to be Destiny's slaves. Oh hey, Peter Connie used to be a prison planet with harsh terrain. Sounds a lot like Seleucus Secundus. Secundus